So for those of you who want to learn more about the rest of the chakra system, I encourage you to do that. But for the purposes of there will be other series, etc., that I need to get to, I am just going to focus on the 7. So there will be 7 episodes total in this series. And then of course we'll get to other areas that I want to talk about, such as your birth chart. There are still episodes about the birth chart that I want to talk to you about. But right now, let's rewind. Let's get back to the chakra system and the 7 that we're going to focus on. We are going to start out of order. As I said, we are going to be focusing on the heart chakra first, which is the 4th chakra. And this is the order that they actually go in. Root, sacral, solar plexus, heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye chakra, crown chakra. Okay. And so, like I said, with how I'm feeling and the grief that I am carrying, it made sense to me to start off with the heart. And when you are focusing on your healing, I actually am certified in chakra healing. It looks different for all of us. And so I'm going to use that certification in this series to help in any way that I can. And it might not be perfect. In fact, I'm sure it won't be. And I can sit here and tell you all the techniques that you can use to heal your heart chakra. You can wear green. You can go out into nature. These are all things that heal all 7. But I really just want to focus on the human side of this, which is that your healing is going to look different than mine. You might need to go to one of those rooms those places where you break things, and that's how you heal. You might need to scream. You might need to listen to sad music and get it all out of your system. You might, like myself, have an altar for a past loved one. My grandmother was deeply religious, so she doesn't so much have an altar. She has, I would say, just a section that is only about her. But because she was deeply religious, she was Christian, I don't want to be disrespectful and give her a witchy altar, because just because I'm a witch doesn't mean that that's something that I think I should force on her spirit. You know, even though I'm sure that she understands now. Notice I said my grandmother, not my great grandmother. My great grandmother, as you all know, was a practitioner. That's how I came to be, so to speak. And likely my great great grandmother was too. So I don't know. Now that part of my family, I only know very little about. So I can't go that far back for you, but I can tell you that might be how you heal, is you have an altar. I have several altars, but I do have one that's just for Hoshi. It's something I encourage. I know that this is something that you see on social media, especially TikTok, around the time of the Day of the Dead. And I just want to tell you, you can have an altar all year. The reason why I say I have several is that I work with different deities. And so they each have their own area. San Judas, Oshun, and Santa Muerte has 2. So I just want to encourage that if that's something that you want to look into. I do have an episode about setting up an altar. So definitely check that out if it's something that you think would be a good fit for you. I have quite a bit of notes, and when I was writing them, I felt like, this is just not it. I don't want to tell people how to heal, but I can give you suggestions. There was one I thought of writing love letters that you leave for people, just random love letters that you leave for random strangers to find. That is a way to think of it as healing the world, so to speak, hoping that it makes somebody's day, doing something to make somebody else's day. That is the way of showing love to others and not focusing just on ourselves. I want you to think about when I talked about Pluto moving into Aquarius, and Aquarius is about the collective and not just about one person. So Aquarius energy is about thinking of how things affect everyone and not just themselves. Okay. So that's not to say every Aquarius feels that way, but it's not uncommon for an Aquarius to try to change systems because they want things to be different. So in my grief, that is an energy I relate to. And remember, Pluto is the planet of death. It is associated with death and rebirth. So think of Scorpio, think of the Death Tarot card. Okay. And when those energies came together, I told you that the cycle, which is a 20-year cycle, would not start off pretty. It will be difficult in the beginning. And basically, it wasn't my way of scaring you. It was my way of saying, this is a heads up, not even so much a warning. This is a heads up. And on Patreon, I talk about that further. But, and I'll get to that again. I'll talk about Patreon later. But one thing I'm struggling with is laughing and not feeling guilt, which means there's another chakra out of alignment that I'll get to on another episode. But if you can, I want you to focus on laughter, watching shows that make you laugh, being around people that make you laugh, anything that brings out that emotion and that feeling, because that is a step towards healing. I hope to get to an area where I can laugh and not immediately think about that my Hoshi bear is not here. That's something that I want to focus on. When I mention wearing green is associated with the color of the the heart chakra. So that is what I mean by connecting with the chakras. And something that I didn't go over, so I apologize. I do things all over the place. That's who I am, is what the chakras even are. Now, I'm sure that I mentioned this in that episode. I don't remember. So there are 7 primary chakras. Okay. And if you are familiar with Hinduism or Buddhism, then you might already be familiar with these. Okay. That is where we Americans, that's where we learn that from. I say Americans. Okay. I'll talk about it on Patreon. I'm not going to talk about it here, but I am technically American. And let me see what I want to talk to you about. So the chakras. The chakras are considered energy centers in our body. Think of 7 circles, and every circle is a different color. And every one of those circles within your body, think of them as being like in a line. Every one of them is spinning. However, when they go out of alignment, they stop spinning. Think of how the planets look. When the planets go into retrograde, like Mercury, what does it look like Mercury's doing? It looks like Mercury stops. So it looks like Mercury is out of alignment. That is how I want you to view the chakra system. Just think of a solar system inside of you. Is that a coincidence? No. Do I think that the divine wanted that connection? Absolutely. And that is deeper than anything I can get into at the moment, but it's definitely something I might consider exploring later on, because I am interested in how they connect with the planets. And I know that they do, because they connect with zodiac. So that is an area that I'll cover later. Okay. So the heart chakra is located in the center of the chest. So where your heart is. It is associated with the color green. And get this, it is associated with the element of air. What is Aquarius? An air sign. That's right. When you see the Aquarius symbol, you think it's going to be a water sign, but it's not. It's actually an air sign. The heart chakra represents love, compassion, and emotional healing. And when it is out of balance, it looks like grief, it looks like jealousy, and it looks like an inability to connect with others. Now, I am having the grief and the inability to connect. Now, I can connect with my loved ones, but there is a numbness when I have to talk to anybody who's not my loved ones. It's like I feel this robotic nature. I had to talk to Capital One, which is a god awful company. This is a very anti-Capital One podcast, so I don't ever want to hear their advertisements on my show. And when I talked to the customer service, I found myself thinking that I just want to get off this call. There's nothing against this person. She was lovely, but I want nothing to do with people who are not my loved ones or you, my listeners. And I don't want to feel like that forever. So that's what I mean by signs of imbalance. All right. And here are some areas that I want to go over. I have so many notes and they are just